Hey everybody, welcome to Fridays with Sandy. I'm John Byrne with Poets and Quants, and Sandy Kreisberg is standing by in Boston. We have
Sitting by, yes.
Yes, indeed. We have a great candidate here, Pat O'Brien. You could see that he has a drum kit in his on his video screen because he is a musician.
And
But
two T's. Tell them why that, John.
two T's because there is another Patrick O'Brien who's the lead guitarist for a death metal band called Cannibal Corpse. He does not have a great reputation, so we want to make sure that this Pat O'Brien is completely differentiated from the other guy.
No mistake.
In any case, more important than the fact that he can play drums and a guitar is the fact that he's a technical product manager at BMW, at the company's U.S. headquarters in Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey. He has a 750 GMAT, a 3.15 GPA. He graduated with a degree in electrical engineering from Stevens Institute of Technology in New Jersey. And his goal is to get into MIT Sloan, Columbia, Harvard, NYU Stern.
Lots to like. To summarize, we got a 3.15, that's the boo-boo. We got a 750 GMAT, that's great. Working for BMW.
That's good.
That's a company, that's great. They don't send many people to MBA programs. Your target schools would be happy to have someone from BMW in their class that could talk about BMW. You've told us you're in the consumer electronics part of that.
That's right.
That's interesting, and that gives you another area of competence.
Has everyone heard of Spotify and the other partnerships that you've worked on for BMW?
What was the question? Oh, it wasn't a question.
And then you've got some cool. You've started some cool businesses. You want to tell us about that quickly, Pat?
Yeah, sure. Well, definitely have always had a fascination with entrepreneurship and just innovating in general. So started with music, starting bands, but then I worked my way into audio engineering and began recording other musicians in the area, the community, for a number of years during college and a little bit in high school. And then basically worked my way into the electrical engineering field and created my own guitar pedal as a project to just learn more about coding, electronics, even manufacturing. It does not.
Okay, so you invented a guitar pedal, and
right.
In your case, Pat pending.
Yes, right.
Good. And you want to go to MIT Sloan or Columbia or HBS NYU Stern.
He likes the East Coast.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, John, is he getting into HBS?
Well, I think it hinges on the story around the 3.15 GPA, which we should let Pat tell us.
Sure.
How do you explain the 3.15 GPA? It is in a tough subject, electrical engineering, but it's well below the class average at Harvard, for example, which is like 3.7.
Yeah, that's right. To start off with just some context. So I do have cystic fibrosis. I've had it diagnosed since I was 2, which is a genetic disorder that has caused infection, chronic lung infection. And so throughout my life, I've battled with hospitalizations, complications that have arisen from it. But so as a concrete example, during my fall semester of 2010, my second year, I was hospitalized for 2 months and basically had to learn the whole subject on my own, but while also not putting other students at a disadvantage. So I took the zeros on the assignments I couldn't be in class for, but was able to get A's and pass the semester with just C's, C minuses.
All right, so you can convince them that that's not a predictor of your performance in business school.
Absolutely not.
And the 750 GMAT really should assure them that it isn't.
Yeah, and it's also, yours is evenly split. So that's real good.
Mm-hmm.
And your story, your story of overcoming adversity and getting your degree And even the semester where you were in the hospital for 2 months, and yet you insisted on taking the tests and getting A's, which still didn't help your average, but allowed you to pass the course so you wouldn't have to take it again. That's a strong story.
Mhm. Great.
What can you contribute from your time at BMW to a business school case discussion?
Sure. Yeah. So I know QA is typically not the most leadership-driven positions, right? Not inherently, at least. But what I've done throughout BMW was, and basically why I've succeeded as I have, is because of the relationships I've built. And so a particular example as project manager is maybe some context to understand the world.
Just tell, what's the culture like at BMW in your
Well,
part of it?
so automotive is very hierarchical, right? So it's, I mean, with the history of it, but the app division and this connected company, they call it, that I was a part of, were the pioneers of a flat organization, where, you know, you're allowed to empower just developers, and they should be the one to talk about quality, right?
Good. Okay. Give me a what do you want to do after business school? What job do you want, and then what do you want after that?
So I've clearly had a passion for product development and product management in general, but I haven't had a lot of exposure besides the interactions I've had with product owners and business people, right? But it's never been a position I've held.
Let me give you some mock interview advice, man. You got to get to the point real fast. You're a guy who loves to talk.
That's right.
Well, here's an important thing. In the last two questions, you started out with negatives. Don't ever say anything that's negative. Don't say, well, you know, quality assurance guy isn't necessarily working with teams or whatever. Don't say what you just said. Just say the positive.
Yep.
They're going to think whatever they're going to think, but don't put it in their heads.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
The question was, give me your career. What job do you want after business school? And then where do you want to be in 15 or 20 years?
So product management is where I see myself directly out of business school, to go from internally developing teams to figuring out what customers want on a practical level. And ultimately,
what kind of company?
So I would like to do it for an early stage startup or company in general, one that is still malleable and can be, you know, convinced of better practices. Like,
John,
you know,
the early stage the startups need product managers. All they've got's the product, right?
Yeah, it depends on where they are, of course, right? I mean, an early stage company typically should have some products, but needs to develop more. And the other thing is, I wonder if, because you're at BMW, would you be open to working in a manufacturing environment? Or is that
not entirely, no, because everything that I've done at BMW has always been in the app development, in the software space.
Yeah, he's kind of a software consumer electronics guy. The BMW thing is, unfortunately, deceiving. If you were actually in the guts of BMW, they would,
nuts and bolts kind of thing, you know. Yeah.
But anyway, you take the.
But it's a great brand and a great place to be.
Take the candidate as you find him. Name name a job you'd like in 15 or 20 years. Name a role model. Whose job would you want in 15 or 20 years?
I would want to be in a C-suite position for a company that's not just innovating, technically speaking, but innovating on the in you know, soft area, like, you know, diversity is how such a big problem that is right now. I think it's going to take people from the top.
Hey, John, did he answer the question, or am I just suffering from senioritis?
I think you want to say, I most admire blank.
Yeah,
sure.
Because of blank, and in my dream job would be that.
Right.
The way this works is, this is bad cop, bad cop. I'm the bad cop, but but I make John do the shakedown.
That's right. So yeah, to get to the question, Bill Gates is a perfect example of the things I just said, right? He was a leader in consumer technologies, and then now is working on very complex topics concerning disease in poverty-stricken countries, and I think that's very inspirational for me.
I'm as big a fan of Bill Gates as the next guy. John, what do you think of using Bill Gates as a role model?
Well, the problem is he's too common. It's almost better to use someone who's a bit more obscure, because
Whose facts are a bit more specific.
yeah, if only because it feels like a more thoughtful answer, where like a Steve Jobs,
more knowing answer.
Gates,
More engaged and knowledgeable.
or Mark Zuckerberg. They're all too obvious on some level.
Yeah, no, this is advice to everybody out there who's getting interviewed. You really should have role models, and they should be specific. The interviewer doesn't have to know them. Sometimes there's an interview question. Tell me someone you admire that we both know.
And then that's different. Then you can do, exactly.
Got it.
Now, Sandy, there's one thing we haven't discussed, and I wondered if you think it's important. Pat has lived in Singapore and London. He's traveled to 26 countries, and by virtue of his work with BMW, he's had to toggle back and forth to Germany and the United States. It gives him a more global or international aura, and I wonder how important that is to his candidacy.
Well, if you could figure out in a non-cliched way what impact that's had on you, that could be very good. The fact that you've had those experiences, the admissions committee will, give you a nominal. They say, "Oh, that's good. We view ourselves as being, internationally minded," but they won't give you a lot of real credit for it unless you can tell them what you could bring or what it means to you.
Sure.
So my answer is less impact than you expect. That's my sort of contrarian answer, unless you can really make something of it. John, what do you think? Is that?
Yeah, I think you got to connect it to something. You just can't state it. So
Right.
if it's broadened your perspective on the world and given you a greater appreciation for diversity and what other cultures and people can contribute, I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah. All right. So what do we got here? 29-year-old, 750, 3.15, working for a great company, BMW, in their consumer electronics part, which is maybe a weak sister there from the admissions committee's point of view. A lot of great musically based admissions committees like music, a lot of MBA moms on the admissions committees. Their music.
Do they like punk music? I don't think so.
Yeah, I would go light on the punk.
Well, this guy is like a Sex Pistols guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go light on the punk. I'd just go music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then engagement with cystic fibrosis as an advocate and as a patient. So you got a lot going for you. Boy.
What are the odds of Harvard?
I hate to say it, the 3.15 is going to be hard to overcome. So your odds are, and you're a white male. So I think your odds at Harvard are like 20%. At Sloan, they're a little higher. Sloan would really respect the 750 and the BMW thing, even if you're in consumer electronics there. Columbia
and the STEM degree. I mean,
yeah, I understand that.
Half of all the enrolled students at MIT Sloan are STEM undergrads.
Yeah, and Columbia would go for BMW, go for the 750. You could get them to wink at the 3.15. NYU would take you just because you're a New York kind of guy, and for the same reason all the other schools like it, and it's just less selective.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead, Pat.
I was just going to say, actually, I'm majority Hispanic, Ecuadorian, in fact. And so yeah, my mom's from there, and I mean, culturally, I think I definitely resemble that. So I think getting back to tying all the travel experience together, that's also something I see as well.
Can you
So
claim that you're, well, they call it Hispanic surname, which you don't have, but
yeah,
John, how does that work if you've got a Hispanic mother and a Anglo father? Do
Wow.
you still qualify as a minority?
No, but I think you want to mention it for sure because it
mm,
talks, I mean, it goes to your kind of multi-diversity.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm just
hmm
talking about the legal.
No, it's
The
like
legal.
my last name too. I'm not really Irish, but you know, it's Byrne and it looks Irish, just like O'Brien looks awfully Irish.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with Kreisberg. That's my name and I look it and I am it. All right. So you're an interesting guy and you've got a great future here. John,
I got one more question though. Sandy, should he apply to a few more schools? Obviously, Harvard is a total reach, and it's kind of, you know, it may happen, it may not happen. Should he be applying to like Darden, Duke, Ross?
Well, if you got into Darden or Duke and NYU, Pat, where would you go?
NYU.
Yeah, because you like the city's important.
He wants to stay in an urban area.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I noticed here. That's why
Urban area.
That's why I was going to suggest Tuck, but you don't want to be up in Tuck, man.
Yeah.
You're their type, but to some extent, you're their type.
Mhm.
But it's. I don't think. Yeah, you just don't want to be there. I get it. I get the picture. Here.
Okay, I'm gonna put a plug in for Columbia because Columbia has the best folly show of any business school anywhere. And you would fit right in. I mean, they would love you, okay? Love you. And you'd get a kick out of it. You'd get a great kick out of it, really.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I've loved everything I've learned about them. The webinars have been, yeah, it's exactly as you said.
Okay, show them the love when you apply and visit and make friends and have them write letters in your behalf. And that's good advice for everyone. But in your case, it's particularly, you could make a difference.
And Sandy's right, they're going to love the 750 GMAT.
Yeah.
They're going to fall all over that, okay?
Awesome.
Now, you're in Chicago now, and would you think of going to the University of Chicago?
No, he's not in Chicago. He's in New Jersey.
Which is very confusing. I'm actually, so I do work for that team, but I acquired it working remote. So I've been going between both offices.
Got it. Okay.
Well, Pat, good luck to you. You're going to get into a couple of these schools easily. And, you know, just let us know how you do.
I will definitely do that. Sandy, John, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants with Fridays with Sandy. Thanks for joining us.